Teali Baumgardner. She is an international energy lobbyist, the CEO of the 45 Group, and a former Trump campaign presidential advisor. Healy, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So the president has been making a big deal about this pipeline between Germany and Russia. Can the United States fill that void of the Russian gas if the Europeans switched and stopped using it?
Absolutely, and the Europeans should switch and rely on the U.S. for our LNG exports. You know, we are a country obviously based on democracy and freedom, and I would certainly want to be utilizing my relationships with America in order to have energy sources.
And it's interesting that the president brings this up, Jonathan, just a couple of days before he actually meets with President Putin. Your thoughts on an arrangement between the U.S. and Germany?
Very important to have an arrangement like that. I mean, one of the ironic things is that Vladimir Putin is a billionaire many times over because of his participation, his ownership of shares in Gazprom and some of the other energy sectors. So it's extremely important to contain even Vladimir Putin by having this type of arrangement with our Western allies, in which we're selling fuel and using what we have in our assets and making sure that in the process actually making the world a better place, safer place.
Absolutely. If we look at the geopolitics of energy and geographically the EU, where it sits in contrast to Russia, it's critical for them to have energy independence, and that's one thing that the U.S. can provide them. So I was very pleased that the president brought that up at the onset of the NATO summit, because it should be something that is a top-line issue that's discussed.
Two things. One is, how are LNG permits going in this country? People want to build facilities. And how is it going in Europe to receive LNG? Are facilities being built there, permits being made to get this thing going?
Well, at FERC, for instance, the requests to export LNG, they can't approve them quickly enough. The president issued an executive order actually in August of 2017 to expedite these processes in order to deregulate some of the environmental loopholes.
Has that happened yet?
It's happening. They are stamping the requests as quickly as they can. As you know, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through in D.C. and in the government. But the fact of the matter is the demand for LNG, U.S. LNG, is there. We can't meet that demand quickly enough. Specific to the EU, there's a lot of concern. They are afraid. They've been in Putin's, flex for a long time. So this is going to be a very, very tricky deal to negotiate for us.
But are they starting to put in facilities or start the process of permitting these facilities to take the gas in various EU countries? Has that happened yet?
Currently, there are two that they're in negotiations. But again, there are a lot of sensitivities there. So I think that we'll see this context.
They're afraid of the Russians if they approve these facilities?
Correct. They are.
But we did ink a deal, I pointed it out at the top of this hour, with Poland last year. In the fall of 2017, it was a 5-year deal for the United States to export liquefied natural gas to Poland. So are we going to see more of those types of deals? Again, that takes power away from Russia.
Right, and we are in those negotiations. For instance, Estonia sits in a prime location for an LNG import terminal. But then you have Gazprom and you have Putin, who then come in swinging from the other side, putting political pressure on said countries. Let's look at Georgia. When we put in the pipeline going from Azerbaijan to Georgia, we were trying to shift power away from Russia, and they got invaded. So this is something that's historical, and Putin uses energy as blackmail.
Putin has to be feeling good going into this meeting, given the price of oil and where it is right now.
I think so. He's obviously also still collaborating with Iran, albeit the sanctions. He's also buddying up with China. I mean, he's playing this from multiple fronts to make sure that he's in the position that he thinks he should be in.
Let me switch gears, because domestic issues also hold a place in this conversation. Former FBI lawyer Lisa Paige is back on Capitol Hill today. She will continue her closed-door testimony, day 2 of that testimony, regarding her anti-Trump text messages with FBI agent Peter Strzok. The president tweeted on Strzok's role in the investigation, saying this: President Obama thought that crooked Hillary was going to win the election, so when he was informed by the FBI about Russian meddling, he said it couldn't happen, was no big deal, and did nothing about it. When I won, it became a big deal, and the rigged witch hunt headed by Strzok. Yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures, House Judiciary member John Ratcliffe commented on the importance of both Lisa Paige and Peter Strzok's testimony before Congress.
The credibility of Peter Strzok and Lisa Paige will be of primary importance to ultimately what people think of the special counsel's findings. There are significant differences in her testimony from Agent Strzok as it relates to these text messages, what she thought some of them meant, And she gave us new information that he either wouldn't or couldn't, that confirmed some of the concerns that we have about these investigations and the people involved in running them.
Healy, your thoughts, the importance of the Paige testimony today?
I think it's critical. I think she's going to be someone who turns, who talks. You know, what do they say? There's no hell hath, like a woman scorned. And, she's also a lawyer, so she has to think about her future career. But this is another sheer example of corruption and abuse of power within the government, specifically the FBI, and the American taxpayers should be outraged, and we should demand answers.
Yeah, well, we've been debating answers. House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes joined me yesterday as well. He commented on the indictments of Russian agents, noting the indictment left out a critical point.
The indictment plays like they're only going after the Democrats, when Bob Mueller and all his investigators and his lawyers know for a fact that they also targeted Republicans. Why is that not in the indictment? It makes the indictment look ridiculous.
Okay. So
I'm not saying they shouldn't be indicted.
The
I'm just saying that
we're targeting both Democrats and Republicans.
And Republicans.
Yeah.
And they know that. It's in our report. So why doesn't the Department of Justice allow this to be declassified so the American public can see this?
Steve Forbes, your thoughts on that? Why was that omitted?
We know why it was omitted.
Incredible.
Blatantly political. And I'm glad this testimony from her is behind closed doors, where she can't showboat the way her former lover did before Congress. If you just heard the way he acted, people didn't realize this guy had done a lot of bad things. And that's why you got to do these things sometimes behind closed doors, where you can pinpoint them. They're not going to be able to go over their heads and appeal to the public. They can get those contradictions and maybe get some indictments.
And already there has been contradictions, apparently, between what Peter Strzok said in the public hearing and what Lisa Paige is telling the lawmakers. Your thoughts?
I think we'll continue to see more. I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and it will be great to watch this unravel and get the answers that we deserve.
And that's why the Democrats hope they'll win the House in November to put a stop to all of these investigations. And that's why they're delaying it, and that's why the president's got to declassify FBI documents.
Just really quickly, something that you've pointed out from day one, in terms of that indictment that came down on Friday, the FBI was never given access to that DNC server. Remember, they called in CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is the one that went in and did the forensics on the information. Jim Comey said himself, we never got the machines. Right. That we ultimately got the underlying information from CrowdStrike, but it's always better if the FBI has the raw information.
Right. The Democrats wanted to hire their own private company to investigate the server that was hacked instead of giving it to the FBI.
Right. Let's not act like the Democrats were just jumping in with the FBI. It smelled bad. It seemed like they were worried about what the FBI would find in addition to Russian hacking.
For sure. Healy, good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Teali Baumgardner there.